Okay, so I edited my um I closed out some stuff on my computer. This thing's always problematic for me. Trying to record videos and it's probably both technological and people there are some people that really don't like that, but I was trying to explain in the video I was trying to make that black magic is something that everybody does because we have these antagonist spirits, these intrusive thoughts, intrusive feelings that we feed energy to, and some of them are generational, and then we use them against each other with thinking badly about each other. Like as I'm progressing on my path to looking for something that might be able to raise that up a little bit. I'm looking for something on my path. Um, like I might be able to. Let me see. That might work. Um, only see somebody as a light being. Okay, so there's your challenge. Only being able to see somebody as a light being, and that's the challenge. Okay, then you see the other stuff on them, and so those are very helpful. Um, those are very helpful things, but you only get that when you're doing the work. You're only going to get that perspective when you're doing the work, and that's like, thank you, Satan, for bringing this darkness. Please take it back where it belongs. Thank you. It's a friend. It's helping you elevate yourself into your definition of light self. So, until then, until you do that, you're using magic very much in a way that black magic users do. Talking shit about each other, feeling bad about each other, not trying to help each other attain each other's position in their state of origin. And that's a huge one. And that's what we should all be trying to do, is helping each other attain that through what we find in our own path. And that's where it says, like in the lost books of the Bible, and even the Bible says, "Seek the kingdom within, and you will find it, and you'll tell others of it." And that is a natural progression of seeking within, and so you naturally do that. And so when a lot of people they get kind of stuck on the something happened and all of a sudden I had this experience and I don't know what that experience was and please help me find it. So they're battling with all of the dark entities that have limited them into the perception of self as a human animal, basically. That's what all the information in this realm is designed to render you as, because they have leveraged the time from your youth until the time when you die to cause your neuroplasticity to only grow in that region. And by learning to discern the darkness versus your inner still self, because when you're in your higher self, it's just stillness and silence and love. I mean, um, but it's not that love that we think we know, which is that OCD, I love you, baby, type of stuff. Um, or it's not that gushing thing. I mean, if you think about how God interacts with mankind, or Source interacts with mankind, is there a gushing? No, there's not a gushing. There is a stillness that waits for stillness to align. And stillness can only align once you've aligned with the dark. And anyone who says that Satan and God are at war is a fool. They will always be trapped in that war because they have not gained the authority of treating it as a tool, a friend, a part of the self, the ego that can't be dead. You know, but can be befriended for it, introducing invasive thoughts from spirits, antagonists, as the Hindus call them, that we just say, no, you discern it right then and there as something you don't want. Bad feeling, bad thought, bad attitude. And you say, no, go ahead and go back where you came from. If it comes from a person, they're going to take everything, a taste of everything you've overcome. Those entities are going to go do a grab bag on those, and they're going to go back and they're going to be like, okay, let's go see how far this person can be antagonized into darkness. And sometimes it is to the point of death. Sometimes it is to the point of injury. So everybody is using dark entities, whether they like to admit it or not. And that is a simple fact. I had to close down one browser. I had like 30, 40 browser windows open because I'm always looking here and looking there for information. I used to be a chronic investigator of spiritual things. And so that was day after day, hour after hour, year after year of just looking, because I was trying to find the truth of God. And here you go. Here's the truth of God. God is the power that our will is able to co-manifest with. And that is the truth. As far as the Gnostic fairy tales about everything, or the Christian fairy tales about everything, it's not altogether true, but there are elements of truth in it. So you have to keep that in mind. You are the truth. And there's a big phenomenal one, is that when you find light self, source self, whatever, when you find light, the temple within, okay, so that's when you really start, I think, to grow. And then making discernments in light and dark. And then being in the practice, that bumpy road of no, thank you for Satan. Thank you, Satan, for showing me this darkness and stuff. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to think that. And then you get to that point where you just see the light in everybody. So, and because you're seeing the light in yourself, and you're also seeing the darkness on everybody. And, you get to that point where when people are messing with you, you don't want revenge, You know that they're going to have this come back to them because they did something that they should not have done. Messed with you. Mess with anyone. That comes from a place of darkness, evil, wickedness. So, I mentioned it in one of the shorts, I've had people poison me before on at least three separate occasions. I've seen every game these guys have run behind my back. So, I've been through it. And the demonic, the spiritual attacks and stuff like that, stuff that most people wouldn't have made it through. There was one time where I was at work, and I was in the middle of some heavy demonic attacks at the time. And it was around the time where one black magic user, a woman, was using black magic against me like a sex demon, and then some other demons. And it was weird because she could project her thoughts into my head, and I just cut them down. I'm like, we're not doing the thoughts in the mind. We're not doing the voices in the head thing. No thanks. So I shut that down. And that could have been an attempt to actually drive me crazy or something, turn me schizophrenic. But so I'm a frontliner when it comes to the war of good and evil. And I'm going to tell you right now that only exists in the plane of man's ignorance. It doesn't exist at the higher realms, where you finally have uncovered your source self, the childhood self, which sees the light in everybody and hopes that everybody can reach their inner light. So, don't be deluded by religion. And by all means, try to stop your engagement and use of darkness against anyone. No dark feelings, no dark emotions. Um, no, just no, 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 no. Just focus on finding your state of origin. And you'll know when you're there because you'll return to that point of childhood that you were in quite naturally after birth, um, where you just naturally want the best for people and you want them to regain their sense of divine self. And you'd be willing to help if it weren't for the fact that they were programmed and conditioned to not function um, in that regard, and they've gotten sucked into um, being the Friends sitcom, the Mad Max movie, the political or governmental ridiculousness, because it is ridiculous. And they are possessed by those unclean spirits. And will they ever get out? I don't know. I mean, obviously, we want to get them out because it serves them better to be in their state of origin than it would serve them to be in their current mind space. But um, who's going to pull that trigger? You? It's like I said on one of my shorts. I am glad I don't charge for the spiritual things that I've gained um, in this awakening. Because that would mean that I would have to be responsible for every bump in the road that everybody that was taking my tutelage couldn't deal with, and that was not part of my path that I couldn't deal with. That's the stopping. That's the drawing line. That's where everything comes to a halt. That's where unbelievers fall out. And a lot of times, these guys that are taking money, they've got to get your mind up into a false space where your brain is being fed by dopamine or endorphins or something. Because they have to keep you in some kind of surreal, unrealistic um, energy where you always have like this feeling, which is not the case with people like me. And I haven't found too. Found some that were close to the same message, but not quite. And I know that from before I came here, that there's a handful of us down here. And we came expressly to clean the basement of mankind. So that's what we're doing. That's from a vision I had. And Trump's a part of it. Like it or not. Why do you smoke if you're spiritual and stuff? One, I've been smoking for a long time too. None yet. I want to be, I came to be like every person. Come from a bunch of flaws, come from a bunch of hearsay, a bunch of false rumors, come from a bunch of, just crumbles and stuff, into that genuine space, that authentic space of the divine self. So that I'm not coming off like my stuff's always been clean because I had a silver spoon in my mouth so forever. So you have to be on my wavelength or you're just wrong. It's not going to happen with me. No, I came from the broken space, like Jesus came from hanging out with alcoholics and people, bad people in general, broken people in general. And so he was called an alcoholic or a drunkard or whatever. Um, so, and I am seeing that element become more engaged. in the times. They're a little bit on edge, but if you came from the hard places they came from, you might be a little bit on edge for a while too. But they haven't learned that aspect that I have learned. And now, thank you, Satan, for bringing the darkness here. Take it back where it belongs. Thank you, please. And so they're growing, hopefully, into that. Because this entire ship of fools is going to flip at some point. It's already shifted a lot because a lot of us have already shifted ourselves. The core players of us have shifted ourselves so that the people that are the grounding tethers are grabbing onto these tethers, these shifts that they feel, and they're like, oh, did you feel the shift? And so they're holding on to that. So they're hopping in a way, and then they're realizing the internal development after. So it's all purposeful. Wish I could make it as easy as it looks in the video Kingdom by the user In Shadow here on YouTube. Here on YouTube. Well, I got that one fella up there. He's called In Shadow. He made one good video called Kingdom. It was pretty nice. I liked it. It reminded me of all the visions I've had my whole life. So that last part in that Kingdom video, where he puts a sword on his back and the darkness dissipates. That's exactly what I'm telling you with when you stop being contentious with darkness. And that fulfills the vision that I was given. Because he's realizing that that was just an elevated friend, and the darkness turns into a shaft of light. So, in the visions about the binding of the serpent, I finally come to understand that was years ago when I had that, and that I saw a serpent bound with like little gold white cloths, and I was given the knowledge that this was the understanding of the people had manifested. And in the understanding of the people having manifested, it had bound the serpent, and each cloth represented each person's understanding. And it came to me in later visions recently that was considered a sacred thing, and so it was wrapped in golden white cloth. And back in the day, just a few years ago, I thought that we would chain that thing and we'd gotten rid of it. No, we'd realized its purpose. And we had celebrated its purpose as divine. And for all the ugliness that it has been on Earth, that the people that were perpetrating the conditioning and the programming on Earth have made it. And we found out its true purpose. And we converted it into the real thing that it is, which is just a tool to elevate us to our light. So, yeah, it's inevitable that everyone find that out. That's on the path. Hopefully the visions I got in 2020, which were just like the visions I got 11 months prior to 2011, or 9/11.